Why does he climb these walls? What does he think of himself?
Parker, now I remember you. You're Connor's student. Tells me you're brilliant. He also tells me you're lazy.
Saving old girls like me. Lord knows, kids like Henry need a hero. Courageous, self-sacrificing people. Setting examples for all of us.
A lot like your father. You really are, Peter, and that's a good thing. But your father lived by a philosophy, a principle, really. He believed that if you could do good things for other people, you had a moral obligation to do those things. That's what's at stake here. Not choice, responsibility.
I want you to promise me something, okay? Leave Gwen out of it. Promise me that. Huh? You promise me.
You must promise me that you will hold on to hope. Keep it alive. We have to be greater than what we suffer. My wish for you is to become hope, to remind us of who we are and of who we're meant to be.
Hello guys, Mr. came back once again. So I titled the video, and I was just sitting down, about to edit a One Punch Man season 3 review video, and eating burritos, and I saw a YouTube short of a talking about Spider-Man and some recent ordeals in the Spider-Man comic, and I realized a very important thing that happens that no one talks about, and that premise is when the original creators of an idea or character dies, what the character fundamentally is dies with them. What do you mean? That doesn't make sense. These characters have been around for over 60, 80 years. What are you talking? What I mean is, they will die being the rare few people who truly understand the character. Perfect case example, Spider-Man. Now, most people would say Spider-Man is a young, relatable guy in his early 20s or late teenage stage, and he's going through the trials and tribulations of life. Well, if you read any recent Spider-Man comic, playing the recent games, or anything like that, you see a character where he's not relatable. He's a conduit for a person's personal suffering instead of him being a character. What do you mean? When they put him through obstacles that make no logical sense, it got to the point where not even Guts from Berserk have a life this consistently bad compared to current Marvel 616 comic book Spider-Man, and it doesn't make any sense how consistently back to back he get a job, he's fired, he get a job, he's fired. He look like how is he this consistently unemployed? How? It shouldn't be possible. Like, this is insane. And some people just laughing this guy. I thought the Zeb Wells stuff was bad, but I don't know what. I saw Ramirez Jr. doing artwork for it. I'm glad to see that Ramirez Jr. still got some work. Some people do clown his art style to a degree. Besides from adding a few extra facial variations, he got a solid, decent art style. It's very thick, very bold, very iconic in my opinion, especially stuff in the War Hulk stuff. But it's just it's gotten to the point where it's ridiculous. This isn't a character. This is a conduit to display your own personal shortcomings of life, and that's not fun. Peter Parker is about a young man who gets the ability to change his life and other people's lives with great power and great responsibility, and he's navigating his way through life through the trials and tribulations of being a young man, of being a young adult, or a teenager. That's what it's supposed to be. He doesn't always have to be broke. He doesn't always have to be struggling for rent. He doesn't always got to be barely scraping by. That's not what Peter is as a character. There is highs, there is lows, there's good times, and there's bad times. Nobody's life is consistently 24/7 dragged through the mud. Most people will do that Minecraft treatment if that was the case. And it's gotten to the point where it's ridiculous, and people are sapping this stuff when it was just this is not what Peter Parker or Spider-Man is about. That's not the premise of the character. The premise is not to watch a man go through torture porn of him just seeing how worse his life can get. At this point, he's beating the entirety of the Hulk backstory. How is this possible? I don't understand. It's gotten to the point where it's ridiculous. And I don't understand what Marvel editorial or the fans, because Twitter don't count. Twitter fans aren't real people. You know, the mental illness, like this is why when anybody brings up Twitter as a sample size, it's not real because it's Twitter. You don't go to Twitter for logical conclusions. You don't go to Twitter for, well, there are good, some good people. What a few, I'm sorry. Nobody's going to drink some dirty water just because you dropped a few drops of Dawn into it. It's still dirty. No one's going to take a bath in it either. So it's just like, there's a few good people. I ain't hear it. There's a stereotype about Twitter and Reddit for a reason. But it got to the point where I don't understand, like, so you telling me that nobody in the roughly past, like Dan Slott decent stuff. He did it since he brought it to decent. Well, I like Superior Spider-Man. I didn't have a big problem with him killing off Spider-Man because it led into a bigger story, and I can understand with why certain Marvel creators and DC creators say the fans don't know what they're talking about, because you'll have an idea and they will knee-jerk reaction just detonate on it, and maybe it might turn into a good story. Not everybody, well, I like Superior Spider-Man. No, flip-flop now. You said Dan Slott deserved to die. You gave him death threats. He's just like, then what's up with this whole, because you don't like something, death threats? Stop buying the book and buy something else. It's not, like, remember, these are the same people that say games aren't that serious, or an argument ain't that serious, but they'll pull off death threats and troll somebody over something they don't like. These are the exact same people. I don't understand how we've gotten to this point with Spider-Man. And the biggest reason why Spider-Man is in the place where he's at is purely because the comic books do not need to succeed for Spider-Man as a brand to continue. The Spider-Man books can get down to 1,000. As long as the new Spider-Man movie or TV show crack 300 million or crack 1 billion. You lost 100K and you made 3 billions. That's not even a flesh room. That's like a scrape. That's like a scab at best. Which you're probably not going to remember the next few years. And I do believe that played heavily into why Marvel editorials can just believe they can just make these vast changes or continue to put Peter through the late seasons of SpongeBob Squidward treatment because of, well, it's going to be successful either way. They're going to buy it anyway. And it's just, how do we get to the point where nobody, for the most part, understands this character? And this is why, no matter how big of a fan you are of something, most people should not write for their favorite character. Most people should not work on a project with their favorite character, because they will always focus on something that don't matter with their own personal bias instead of focusing on what's best for the character. I don't care whether Insomniac's Wolverine connects to Spider-Man. And do you know why? Because I want a good Wolverine game, and that game don't need Spider-Man in it. Same thing with the Hulk, same thing with Iron Man, Captain America, or any other character. Why don't you focus on making a good game with the character first, then think about the extended universe? But nah, everything gotta be connected. Wait, pause. Aren't y'all the same people that said y'all hate extended universes and hate multiverses? Not everything got. It's like I'm telling you, as a creator, no matter what you do, and that's why I never understood the chasing the trend thing, because you're never going to be up to date. You're never going to be with the times. Never. Something can change in 2 hours. That's all it takes. So, like, why chase something that is literally impossible to keep up with, that you don't have to keep up with? No one got a gun to your head. No one's forced you to live like this. Nobody. So is this. I grew up with Spider-Man my whole life. Disney XD used to show the 90s TV show. I grew up watching a few episodes when I could. It's Spectacular Spider-Man. I've seen all 3 Sam Raimi's movies. I remember back when the movies used to come out, it used to be this big push with Burger King toys, McDonald's toys. Good times, good times. Well, growing up with that, I can't see how we can get here with the character. And it's mainly the fans, which I don't understand. The creators could just be, well, you could hire just one bad guy. But when the fans are agreeing with Peter Parker, not even be able to pay rent, and getting, like, even with the Insomniac Spider-Man I'm playing right now, he's getting tossed out into the streets, and he's living in a shelter. And then he gotta move into an Aunt May in the second game. Like, really? Like he's that incompetent. He's that quote unquote down, and he's like, that's not what Spider-Man is about. It's about going through the trials of tribulations with life, with the abilities to change your own life. Peter Parker could be a bad guy. Peter Parker could have thrown his life away and become one of the best criminals in New York. He got the strength, he got the intellect to sell black market weaponry. He got every attribute he needs to become a villain, and he choose not to, because that's what the type of person his aunt and uncle raised him to be, and that's the type of person he chooses to be on a daily basis, good or bad. In the brightest of days, in the darkest of days. It's not about Peter Parker struggling. Like, when was the last time Peter missed out on something because he was trying to be a superhero? When was the last time Peter just sat back and say, wow, this whole week have just been boring? You know, usually there'd be some type of mass catastrophe. There'd be something with the Avengers or some type of end of the world type thing. But today is just boring. Today's actually is all right. And we get to see a dive of life with Peter Parker where he's genuinely happy, whether he's in a relationship with Mary Jane or not. Because it's gotten to the point where people hate Mary Jane now. They hate the one from the Sam. Like, I don't see where this Mary Jane hatred comes from. It's just, because it doesn't just seem like it's purely for the movie character. It just seems like they just despise Mary Jane, period. Especially in Marvel Victoria. Okay, you got Felicia, Black Cat. And you got all these other love interests that Peter had been interested in. You gonna do anything with that? Nope. She's just gonna show up and disappear and just on to the next. So, like, where's the long-term story here? Like, what is the objective of this? We got 50,000 different goblins. We got certain characters that don't show up. They can't redesign Scorpion to save their life. Name one good, decent Scorpion design. Not in the Spider-Verse. So just... I don't know. I think it's my own fault that I care too much about shit like this. It really is. Because I care for the craftsmanship. I care for the understanding. I care for what Spider-Man as a character can be. Which, to tackle another point of Spider-Man, well, anybody can be the suit. How do I explain this properly? Anybody can be Spider-Man, but Peter Parker is Spider-Man. What do you mean? Anybody can wear the suit today and go out into your life and change something. You don't have to be white. You don't got to be Peter Parker himself to make an improvement or betterment of somebody's life. But the main Spider-Man will be Spider-Man. Miles Morales is a Spider-Man, but not the Spider-Man you think of. Right? And there's nothing wrong with that, which is why I want Miles Morales to stand out on his own 2 feet, for he won't end up like Nightwing, for he won't end up like Booster Gold or Plastic Man or Metamorpho. All these DC characters that just show up for a cameo, and you can't name one villain about them. Name a Hawkman villain. Name a Guy Gardner villain. Name a Martian Manhunter villain. You can't do it. Outside of one villain, maybe 2, you can't name 3 Aquaman villains to save your life. Say anything, you can argue with Wonder Woman. Outside of Batman and Superman, in which most people would struggle with Superman. Take General Zod and Brainiac off the table. Tell them the name of Superman villain. They'll drown. And that's why I push heavily for Miles Morales to have his own thing, to be his own person. But the fan base of Miles don't want that. They want him to be Peter Light Jr. He wanted to be Family Daughter Peter Parker, where he's the only time you see Miles is when Peter's there. That's it. So that's why when Miles Morales got his own quote-unquote game, we got to rehash the Tinkerer. We got the Rhino in the game. We got Roxxon, but without having the Minotaur. We have Roxxon, but no Dahlia Acker. Okay. So just really, like, people don't understand this character. And for most part, most people don't care. They have an emotional attachment, but they don't care about the betterment overall. And what I mean by that is, when the whole point of great responsibility is, the whole point of Peter Parker is having the power and the knowledge and self-restraint to do the right thing against your own personal bias, against your own personal wants and will, against everything else, to do the right thing. So no matter how much I like a version of Peter Parker, no matter what, so how I want him to be seen, what his costume will look, if that would hurt the character or be detrimental to the future of the character, or like break something like mind blowing of the character, I'm gonna have to throw that into a box and just make a new character. I won't destroy what Peter Parker is to fit my own personal viewpoints and bias of the world, because that's damaging. And you have the power to do that. And multiple writers have the power to do that, but somehow act like they have no responsibility or duty to do right by the character, and they butcher it and they mutilated it, and now everybody's looking confused and nobody knows what. And this is why interpretations and adaptations matter, because sometimes the reason why these people are so upset of a big change is because it let's use Blade for most example. Most people see Blade as Wesley Snipes. The problem is Wesley Snipes isn't Blade. He played a great version of Blade, but most people still see Blade as Wesley Snipes. Now some might say why? Because ever since then, that is the only thing Blade has been in the comic books, is Wesley Snipes. It's the same thing with Iron Man. Everybody keep trying to say Iron Man is Robert Downey Jr. Wrong. Iron Man is a character. I'm sorry, eventually Robert Downey Jr. is going to get old, or he's going to die. What, nobody else can play Iron Man? We're going to pull that same stupid T'Challa mess? I wish they would have never pulled that T'Challa mess with anybody else. If Steve Rogers, Thor, or anybody else would have kicked the bucket, they would have brought his ass back with a new character. But Black Panther, this is what, like the Black Panther thing is a whole different ordeal. Because how they butchered that character, and how everybody want to act like they care about T'Challa when they didn't. Probably me and about 15 other black people knew who T'Challa was. And I knew about him because of tour reviews. And his show appearance in Earth's Mightiest Heroes. That's the real T'Challa. In the movies, outside of Civil War, he's trash. Outright garbage. You question why he's even there. There's no, like, they never show off his intelligence. All of that is given to Shuri. There's tons of things they don't show off. But back to the Spider-Man point. So it's just, the reason why those interpretations and adaptations are important, because it will lead to a mass amount of people vastly misunderstanding a character, and it will cripple the character in the long run, because it'll turn into, well, nobody knows the foundation of this character is. You can say whatever you want about Amazing Spider-Man, or the Ultimate Spider-Man series with Michael Bryant business, but at least it kept to the same of what Spider-Man was as a character. Even though it made its changes, even though it remixed certain things, like I don't like the whole Carnage storyline, it still was Spider-Man at its core. On which, why I want Tom Holland to have a Spider-Man movie by himself. Not with a cameo, not with him being Iron Lad, not him like why is every movie always gotta be some other thing to sell you on Spider-Man instead of it being Spider-Man? But we've already had 5 movies where it was only Spider-Man. I can't. So, when a Captain America movie only have Captain America characters, you don't complain. When an Iron Man movie only have Iron Man characters, you don't complain. When Thor movies only have Thor characters, besides from Thor Ragnarok, you don't complain. But with Spider-Man, I want to be him by himself and fight his own villains. Rather going, I think they butchered the Sinister Six, which goes like. I don't think Tom Holland is a bad actor. I just think he's given a bad script. Because I had no problem with him in Civil War. But it's everything they done without it. Did he have an Uncle Ben or not? We don't know. It turned out he might not have an Uncle Ben. And we give that moment to Aunt May. How was Aunt May exactly killed? Did it slash her through her back? Or like why can't you just have the glider stab her? Why not? It is what it is. But the main point is no one understands what to do with Peter Parker at all. Well, in Insomniac Games, he's going into retirement. He's just like, why did we boost up Kraven to where he's like this manslayer? Because why would his objectives be, compared to other Kravens, is to get Peter Parker to kill him? Because if Peter Parker can beat people like the Rhino, the Vulture, and Mr. Negative, and all these other characters in about roughly, 48 hours? The cream of the crop? Why wouldn't he see Spider-Man as the pinnacle predator to hunt? No, he just tried to get killed by anybody. Why wouldn't he want Spider-Man to kill him? If he can take on all these guys and beat all of them, why wouldn't he want Spider-Man to do it? But it is what it is. Like, I already gave my opinions about the whole Insomniac Spider-Man 2 and that whole story. It is what it is for that. And this is why you don't announce games early. But it's just like you got the games acting like this. You have the like No Way Home was not a good movie. It's not. It was a cameo-filled mess where people don't care about the plot. They turned their brain off and ate the popcorn. They didn't think about anything. Because if Peter rehabilitated any one of them villains, wouldn't that destroy the lore when they get sent back and ruin the universe? Because if Peter and everybody knowing who Peter Parker is ripped the fabric of the universe, wouldn't all these villains being changed and sent back and not dying like how they're supposed to destroy those other people's universe too? But cricket, because no one same thing with Wolverine and Deadpool. No one questioned it. Just enjoy it for what it is. It's a crossover. I don't want to see crossover where it don't mean anything. Does it need to change the world? No. Does it need to be this end-all, be-all story? No. But it needs to be a good, solid story on its own, and not just, well, I get to see all these characters return. Congratulations. Now, give it a few years. People are going to rip it to shreds and act like it didn't even matter. Congratulations. You played yourself. You created a nice, trendy movie where people at the moment going to agree with it and then rip it to shreds in a few years. Wow. At least you got your money out of it. But this video was not supposed to go on for this long. I probably already cracked the 20-minute mark. But, you take anything away from this, from this whole rant, is that when only certain people should write for Spider-Man. Only certain people understand Spider-Man outside of Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, and Romita Sr. and many others that contributed to the early days of Spider-Man. They understood the delicate balance of having a hard life and being a good young adult / teenager. It's a balance. That's what Spectacular Spider-Man understood. That's what the animated series understood. That's what all these Spider-Man shows up to a point understood. That there's a balance. It can't be too chaotic. It can't be too simple either. It gotta be... And that's the thing. It can tilt either way for a climactic moment, or... It doesn't have to be like this whole control type thing. But it can't just be Peter be downstraught all the time. But there's no upside. Doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. But what I said earlier is true. When the original creator passes away, the fundamentals of what that character was dies with them. And only a few people after them understands what the character is before it becomes Flanderized, washed out, and blown out of proportions. Because everybody like to blame everybody else. But everybody want to talk about their contribution of making the world worse. Because they're different. They're better. They're so much more advanced and so much more smarter. Okay, Bobby. If that's what you want to believe. If that's what makes you go to sleep at night. It's not your fault. It's everybody else's. Okay, Bobby. You're just one of those people who just don't contribute, right? Okay. For those who don't have to... But it is what it is. It wasn't supposed to go on this long, but it gets to the point where it's irritating. An expectation of a character that's this old, and people are still fighting over each other about what the character is. And then we got people who don't read comic books trying to bring up comic books. Shut your bitch ass up. Stay in your lane. You talk about movies and TV shows, mainly movies. Stay your ass in playing movies, or in playing movies and playing video games. Don't talk about something you know nothing about. Then I'll bring up facts and, well, the comics don't matter. So it only matters when it fits your argument. You're a grown adult with kids, and you're arguing like this. You're an embarrassment of a parent. You should be ashamed of yourself. But that has been WK. We got thoughts and opinions about the modern trials and tribulations of Spider-Man. I'm not the first one to make this video. I doubt I'm going to be the last, but it's just... Hearing that recent stuff is just like getting sent off to a different planet. We got 12,000 different goblins. And it's just like... Does anybody know... It's just like... No one does anything in comic books to make a new villain stick. They just show up. But somehow the Court of Owls become this big thing. The Court of Owls is it's not good. So it's just... And Peter Parker had that same problem. Name a new Spider-Man villain that anybody remembers in the past 15 years. You can't do it. You can't. And it's just... We get a Spider-Man where no one knows who he is. He's living by himself. There's no more Aunt May. And in that movie, it's going to start a Hulk. Whether it's Joe Fixit, whether it's just Savage Hulk, doesn't matter. And it's going to start a Punisher. If those two characters was just a cameo, that would be one thing. But the fact that they play a major part of the plot and nobody knows who the villain is. Oh, he's going to get the symbiote. He's not going to get the symbiote. At this point, I don't think I want to see Spider-Man with the Venom symbiote for the next 8 years, to be honest. Because I'm sick of seeing it. I'm tired of seeing Peter Parker with the symbiote at this point. It's going to be the same old thing. And after what they did with Insomniac in Spider-Man 2 on PS5, I don't want to see that shit ever again. I don't. I just don't. For a long time, I don't want to see Peter Parker with no gosh damn black suit or Venom. They'll butcher Venom too. So, I don't know. It's been up WK. I hope you guys liked the video. I got something out of it. And do you believe that people understand? And it's not from the top on down. Same thing with game dev, same thing with TV shows, same thing with the Tom Hardy Spider-Man writers, all of them. Do you think they understand what Peter Parker is as a character? I'll say most of them don't. And I mean no disrespect, but I don't think most of them do understand what makes Peter Parker such an endearing and great character. And that's sad. It really is. But it's been up to WK. Got to like the video. And hey, all you can do is hope he gets better. You become a Spider-Man writer, or you just make your own. And that's the worst part about it. I would say this one thing: when you do make your own stuff, when you do try to deliver what the fans quote unquote want, I'll leave you off with this: do not let these fans lie to you. What they're asking for is not what they want. They want a new, unique experience from official channels. They don't want to work for it. They don't want to search for it. They don't want to do anything that involves them putting in any effort. But they'll break their neck to go watch a football game. They'll break their neck to keep up with some news drama with some celebrity. They don't have anything to do with their life. They'll go to 10,000 miles to search for some theory. But anything where it involves them searching for good entertainment, they'll never do it. So that's why they want Disney to change. That's why they want DC to change. That's why they want all these unique things from these big-time publishers and big-time companies, and why they keep bringing up Hollywood. Why not just let Hollywood die and you just make your own movies? Oh, you don't want to do that. You don't want to support smaller guys. You just want Hollywood to change. So it was never about what's best for the people. It was always about your personal bias, huh? Okay, M3K, I'll just leave you at that. And like, comment, subscribe, and hey, 2026 has been a interesting year for the channel. It really has been. But peace.
Parker.